Well, hey there, my farmer friends. Good morning. It is Corinna from mydigitalfarmer.com. Hope you guys are doing great. My kids have a snow day today, so they are home from school. But that is not going to stop me. I am still going to share on my topic today, my live training for the week. And our topic today is something I'm actually really excited about because I feel like it's something that our farm has intrinsically done well for the last few years before I even knew about this concept. And I'm going to talk to you about the Excite phase of the customer value journey. And you guys need to hear this because I think this is a really key piece of the marketing puzzle of the journey of a customer that many of us farmers are perhaps missing the boat on. Here's the thing, if you're a CSA farmer, I really believe that your customers need more from you than just your box of vegetables. They need an excitement about them. And so today we are going to talk about what that looks like. I want to call your attention to this little map, which I've referenced several times before. This is a picture of the customer value journey, and I'm sorry that it's showing up backwards for you. But this is a grid that represents the journey that all customers go through when they're going through any brand, not just through farms. But this is a common tool that's used for marketers in many industries to help us guide and prepare marketing strategies and assets to help move the customer through this process. And all customers start over here at the unaware stage. They don't know who you are at all. Then they slowly become aware of your brand. They move through here, do different things. And then hopefully, if you do your job right as a marketer and as a brand, they end up becoming a brand ambassador for you and they promote your products to other people and they keep buying more stuff. Well, we're going to focus on this little box right in here called the Excite phase. And this is a box that a lot of businesses, farms included, I think miss the boat on. We don't realize that this is an important part of the journey, and so we don't create any strategies to make sure that we are connecting with our customers here. So if you're unfamiliar with this particular tool and this grid, there is a training called the Customer Value Journey Training. I'll make sure I link it up after I finish this video so you can watch it. And it kind of walks you through all the different stages so you know what's happening. But today, we're going to talk about this step, which happens right after the convert stage. Now, the convert stage is where someone actually puts down money for the first time. So maybe they've just purchased their first dozen eggs from you, or they've just come to your online store and purchased something for the first time, and they've subscribed and given you their contact information. And now, what happens? This is that first impression moment. This is that beginning of the beginning of the buying relationship. So something has shifted. They're no longer just a email contact, but they've actually invested and given you money. And this is an opportunity for you to do something in this Excite phase to get them excited about the brand and wow them so that they're like, oh my gosh, I need to continue to do business with them. And I want to also just point out the stage right after this, because if you do the Excite phase correctly as a brand and you create some mechanisms that make this happen, then guess what happens? Your customers go up the ladder. The ascension ladder is the next stage, and that's where customers keep buying more. They just walk through your value ladder, they buy the next level product, and then the next expensive thing, and then the next expensive thing, and they become one of your super buyers. So let's talk through what this might look like, because if this stage is skipped, like all the stages in that journey, if you skip a stage in your strategy and you don't have it there, people stop. They just freeze and they don't progress. And I don't want to say it happens all the time, but it's much less likely for someone to keep moving through the journey and turn into a brand ambassador if you don't follow each of the steps. So you're probably wondering, okay, well, that's really nice. I need to excite the customer, Corinna, but what the heck does that even mean? Help me understand what that would look like. So I'm actually going to give you an example, not inside the farming business yet. I'll do that in a minute. But my husband and I take our car whenever it breaks down to a place called Dan R's Automotive. And Danar's Automotive is a little bit more expensive than maybe some other mechanics that are around town. But I just want to share with you some things that they did. When we first took our car there, we were just expecting, the typical mechanic automobile kind of experience. And let me just tell you a few things that happened after we showed up. So first of all, the waiting room has a popcorn machine in it and really nice comfy sofas and cable TV. And they gave me free water, free fancy coffee. And I just felt like I could hang out there with an internet connection for 5 hours while they were fixing my car. And it felt really homey and comfortable. And I could just eat my way through the popcorn machine. Okay, so that just surprised me. I'm like, wow, I can tell they went the extra mile to try and make this comfortable for me because they understand I don't really like sitting in an automobile place when my car is getting fixed. Another thing that they did is they showed me the before and after. So when they were done, they had taken a photograph of my problem in my car before I got there, and then after, how it had been fixed. And it was this polished looking piece of metal on the brakes, and it was a very noticeable difference. And they had a very detailed explanation of what had been done. They gave me this in a folder that probably only cost them like 40 cents, but it was like a pocket folder with multiple pages. I felt like I was being given a prospectus, and it just elevated the experience for me. I'm like, wow, that's really awesome. Plus, when we brought in our car another time, they were like, no problem, we can give you a loaner car. And I'm like, really? I don't have to pay for that? They're like, yeah, absolutely. I got a nice loaner car for like 3 or 4 days. And they even gave us free towing one time when our car zonked out somewhere. And they're like, well, as long as it's within 30 miles, we'll come and get it for you. And it's free towing if we bring it to our place. That is better than AAA. AAA was going to charge me money to tow it that far. So I'm like, wow, little things like that, which surprised and delighted me and just excited me as a customer. So even though I'm paying more for them, the service and all these little bonuses that happened immediately after that sale or in those initial moments with them really impressed me. And I could go on. There are more things that they have since done. And I've actually joined their oil club membership. Like I pre-bought like 7 of them, because even though I had to pay, a bunch of money up front, because I'm like, dang, I really like this place. So I have become a loyal customer because of some of the stuff they're doing in the Excite phase. So if you are like many CSA farmers, then you are acutely aware of the customer retention problem. A lot of people are talking about it, how customer retention rates are declining or they're low, and it's kind of the holy grail for many of us farmers to try and increase that rate, even like a few percentage points. And in 2016, we had about, it's probably like a 62% retention rate. And it had been that way since we'd begun. And so it was then in that year that I began to really dive into researching my master CSA members. I've talked about this before. I interviewed them on the phone. I did surveys. I really poured into like, what were these master members doing differently? Why did they keep coming back to us? Why did they like us so much? And all that stuff, all that data, I was taking notes, and I saw patterns of the things that they had learned and their top tips and their advice. And so I took all that information down, and I had this idea, well, what if I try to teach some of this stuff to my new members, or some of even my old members, frankly. And so that's what we began to do that fall. We just decided we're going to start doing a weekly video. I'm going to start making cheat sheets and PDF ebooks for every vegetable. I'm going to be really intentional about trying to guide them through this process of using the box. And I just went overboard. I went overboard. And I think sometimes I put out too much information, but I was just so gangbusters about wanting to support them and wanting them to have what they needed to use this, and didn't want anyone to say, well, they never did anything to help me. Okay, so the results of that were incredible. And in one season, so the next year, our retention rate went to 78%. And I think there were a few other factors there, but I really think one of the big ones was our private Facebook group where we were doing all this teaching, but that we were exciting the customer, that we had tapped into, like, we're going to grow you. We're going to show you how to use this food. So my community manager, I have a Facebook group. I have actually a community manager that I pay. Her name is Katie, and she was helping me with this. And we would brainstorm, like, what can we do to excite the customer this week? What can we do to move them further along in the journey? Because some of these people don't know how to use some of this stuff or don't know how to store. What is it that they don't know? What's holding them back from really getting this, from not wasting the food and getting the most out of this experience? And we identified those things from that research. And then we just started teaching it, and we just sort of made it up as we went. We weren't sure if it was going to work, but boy, did it work. So I want to share with you, just from our journey over the last 2.5 years, some things that we have done as a farm that I think are really hitting this excite phase. And I'm hoping that maybe one or two of these ideas is going to grab you and that you can apply it to your unique business. Because I know not all of you are CSA vegetable farmers. And some of you might not even have a CSA, but I think this applies in general to all businesses. You need to find some way to surprise and delight your customer and teach them, grow them. They want to grow. They are coming to you because they want something from you. They have a problem or they have an inner desire. They are looking for transformation. And when you can figure out what that transformation is and you can actually deliver it, that's incredibly loyalty building. So let's talk about a few ideas. The first one I want to mention that I think is something you could all do if you aren't doing it already is you could have a private Facebook group for your farm or for your core members. Now I know some of you are like, oh, I already have one. It's not really working. I have a Facebook course that you can take to learn how to build a great Facebook group that's highly engaged. I'm not really going to plug that here, but we talk about that as a common problem. But some of you don't even have one at all yet, or you have one that's so tiny, or you haven't really given it a lot of effort. And we started our Facebook group. Actually, I had a different community manager at the time, and she was just like, hey, can I just start this? She was doing recipes for me, and she's like, can I just start a Facebook group? And I didn't really give it a lot of thought. I was like, sure, go ahead. And I wasn't really invested in it at that first year. But then when we found this research out from our customers that, you know, what they liked about our farm and what our CSA masters were doing, I was like, this would be a great place to really start teaching our members how to use the food. We could really leverage the Facebook group. So we had an intentional strategy. We showed up in there very consistently. I paid someone to be the community manager to watch that group, to engage, to interact, to spark conversation, but also to create content and to teach. And so that very intentional strategy of making the Facebook group a big place where we were going to show up, they were going to have a reason to come back and check it out, has been huge, so huge. So I love how Facebook groups can be like the location where you teach. Okay, so that's what we do. We show up inside the Facebook group to this day, and we'll just pop in and do a Facebook Live and teach something. We'll be cooking something. We'll be assembling things. Katie Jardin, when she's in charge of it, she'll actually have all the stuff prepped like a cooking show, and she'll just kind of put it together to try and keep the videos short. And then I download those videos and I repurpose them elsewhere, which I'll share in a minute. But we have all these members that are coming and sharing and interacting and saying, hey, I did that, I did this. And it just becomes this place where the community starts to really form and bond. Now, the most important thing here is that the Facebook group not only creates a locus for connection, which I think people want. A lot of foodies I'm discovering feel kind of alone, like they'll show up and, you know, hang out with people and they just are passionate about food. And I think that they sometimes feel like they have to hold themselves back because the people they hang out with maybe aren't quite that passionate and don't want to talk about it all the time. And so they're like looking for other people like them, you know, they're just as geeked out about seasonal eating as they are. And so that's something that this place provides for them. But it's also a place where they can grow, where they can actually learn a new skill and get better at being a seasonal eater. And that's exciting for them. So that's my first tip, is to really think about creating a private Facebook group. You could probably actually make it a public and open group too. I talk about the difference in my course. If you're interested in learning more about that course, I'll put the link in the comments later and you can check it out and to see if you want to join it. But part of that is that you actually get into my Facebook group where you can see how we do it to get ideas. All right, the second thing that I think really helps that you should consider is creating some kind of an onboarding strategy. I'm not going to go into too big a detail here because I have done a detailed training about how to build an onboarding strategy. But in general, your new members, they sign up, they buy something, and then a lot of times they never hear from you again. Or if they sign up for the CSA, for example, in February, but you don't start until June like we do, there can be like 3 months of radio silence where they hear nothing, and they're thinking, did that even go through? Did they remember me? Is this going to start? And there's just no communication, right? And juxtapose that to a response where you have a strategy where you immediately, respond to them in some way. You have an email drip campaign that starts coming out as soon as they sign up. And it's got like 3 or 4 emails that teaches them, here's what you need to do next. Here's what I want you to watch first to get ready. Here's another video I want you to check out because it's going to teach you how to blah, 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 and be ready for when the season starts, so that you start to get them excited, okay? And that's not something they're expecting. So when they get it, they're like, oh, they're already talking to me. They're excited that I'm joining, and even though it's many months away, I have this time to ramp up and get excited about it. So a couple of ways you can onboard someone. So I would recommend having a email onboarding sequence. I have one. I think it's, I want to say it's like 5 or 6 emails now. It used to be a lot longer. But that one fires as soon as someone signs up, and it just kind of gets them kind of into the groove. But I have a training, like an actual orientation email drip sequence that goes out in the 2 weeks before we actually begin, which is a little more detailed. So that's something you could look at, and I have a training on how to put that together. I'll link that down later, okay? But you can also do a video playlist on YouTube, which is something that I am going to be developing a little bit more. I have a few there, but I don't have all the pieces. So you could just make short, 5 or 6 3-minute videos, pick out the key things that you want them to learn, and then link them up and make sure they know about that playlist. Or you could make the YouTube videos first and then put those links of those videos in the email drip sequence and tell them, go watch this video, okay? So that's another way to do it. I highly recommend thinking through some kind of an onboarding process, because if you miss that step, you've got radio silence for some of you for many months before they start, and you've just missed an opportunity to make a really good first impression and to follow up on that excitement. Because when people buy your CSA, that's kind of a risk. They're hovering their hand over the buy now button and they finally click it. And they're like, oh, I just spent $400, And if they hear nothing from you, it's sort of like, oh, what did I just do? But if they immediately start hearing from you and you're so excited and you're getting them ready, can you imagine what that makes them feel like? Buyer's remorse goes down and they're like, yes, this was a good idea. So please consider doing that. All right. Number 3, this is something that we do now, which has been so huge. I wouldn't start here as a beginner, but it's something that you can build. And it is our online membership academy. So I began to create all this content for my Facebook group 2 years ago. All these videos, I was making vegetable ebooks, I was making cheat sheets for every formula of a perfect whatever, and storage guides, and I've talked about a lot of that before on here. I have so many resources, guys, it is mind-boggling. And I was running into a problem where I didn't know where to put them, and people were trying to find them and they couldn't access them. So I had kind of a page on my website where I just put all the links and I told people what that page was and they could go and just find everything. And that was hugely helpful. So as you build out some of these content pieces, that's an idea for you because that's free. Just make a page on your website and link up all the links and put them in some kind of organized alphabetical order or something. But I soon began to have so many that I realized this is actually valuable. This is probably worth money now. And I didn't want to just have it open to anyone who wanted to find it. I wanted to gate it and put it behind some kind of a gateway. And so then I created something called the Online SL Farms Academy, which I've talked about before a few times, I think, here and there when I've been doing these videos. And this is basically a platform on teachable.com. If you're interested in Teachable, I'll put the link, the affiliate link down below if you want to check out how to make one for yourself. But this is essentially it's an online course platform, but I use it as my database, as a resource library. So anytime I make content, anytime I make a video, a training video for how to cook something, anytime I make a cheat sheet or a PDF or a storage guide, a veggie ebook, anything, it gets put in the Academy. Anytime I make a newsletter, a recipe, I mean, it's all there. And so I've trained my customers to go and find that place. Now, this has been the year that I launched this for my CSA members. They absolutely so many of them were like, holy shit, they were like so crazy for it. They're like, this is amazing. It's so beautiful. It's all organized. I can find stuff now. And a lot of them go in there and use it on a weekly basis. So I'm going to tell you just how I've divided it up so that you can get some ideas. Or if you can't do it now, I just want to encourage you to think about it as something in the future. So start creating the content, store it on YouTube, or keep it, a log somewhere on your Excel document. But on the back of your mind, be thinking about, I could start, building this huge catalog, and I could be putting it into a resource like this. So my members who are CSA members actually get free access to this too. So that's the other thing. This is a paid product now for anybody. They don't have to be in my CSA, but my CSA members get it for free. And so when they see that, it's like, wow, bonus, right? Excite phase. Okay, so there's a whole section. The most popular one is Veggie U, which is where I have a chapter for every vegetable from A to Z. So there's a veggie tutorial, cooking tutorial for every vegetable. And then next to that, there's a PDF, like an ebook that has all kinds of random facts about that vegetable, and then some of my favorite recipes, storage, how to prepare it. Okay, so I think I have like 44 vegetables in there, different units. And that's just a huge place to go. And just if you want help with one vegetable, and that gets used a lot because people are like, I don't know what mesclun mix is. So they'll go find mesclun mix in the Veggie U, watch the video, download the ebook, and they're set and they're good to go with that vegetable. I have something called the Canning Club. That's a whole nother chapter that's part of it. And so I put a new canning video workshop in there every month of the season. I have, I think, 6 in there right now. I also have a mini course right before that, like 6 little mini videos that talk them through how to begin to become a canner. Okay, so this is a kind of a place where people who are graduating to another level can go and learn. They can watch me actually can pickles. Now I'm going to do jam. Now I'm going to do tomatoes, and they see me doing it with the different equipment. There's vegetable exit strategies, which is like a term. You could probably just call it cooking skills. But I have 38 videos in there that are teaching different ways of cooking. So formula for a frittata, formula for a pesto, formula for a sheet pan meal. And they're just cooking episodes. Like, here's how you do it. And then a lot of them, most of them have like a cheat sheet that goes along with it that they can download, and just, a one-page guide. And some of them have like recipes attached. All right, grilling 101. Like, it's just this amazing place where they can go if they don't know about sheet pan meals. That's a really popular one. Or they don't know how to make their own broth out of vegetable scraps. They can go and watch that. Okay, see, these are all things that I learned from my CSA master interviews, that they were doing these things. So I'm like, I got to teach this. So I just started teaching them one by one. And only once I had amassed this quantity of stuff, I started putting it into the academy. All right, I have a section called freezer meals. And in the freezer meal section, I teach how to freeze different vegetables. So there's a whole bunch of videos about that. But then I also have a whole section on just actual freezer meals where we make, soup in a bag that you can stick into your into your freezer and take it out later. Then there's an Instant Pot course, which is very short snippets, but like 7 or 8 videos that teach the basics of Instant Pot cooking. That's really popular because people are very scared to try that. And then I have my favorite, which is the Roadmap to CSA Success for rookies. And this is 21 videos. It takes about 90 minutes. And this is like one of the calls to action from my new people when they join that onboarding email sequence. I'm like, I want you to go into the academy, and I want you to take that mini course. Because when you take that, this is based on everything, the best of the best from what I learned in my master's and my research. When you take that course, you are going to have everything you need to know to be as ready as you can be for your first year. And it goes through storage stuff, like the stuff you really need to know about storing. It talks about kitchen tools that you might need, the top exit strategies that most of the masters use a lot, how they meal plan and stuff like that. So it's a really amazing kind of all-in-one place where they can learn stuff. So that is also another really great idea. If you can create some kind of a short mini course for whatever your product is, what are the 5 things that they need to learn in order to maximize the use of that product? That will excite them. And you don't have to lock it up behind something like I do, but you could just make a playlist on YouTube and send people to it. All right. So every Oh, and then I also say that this is also the place where I archive, like I have a newsletter that I send out every week. So I have a section that's just for all the newsletters. They just get piled in there. I have a section called the What's in Your Box Illustrated Guide. Those all get put in there. There's a recipe section. All the recipes for every week get put in there. So if somebody can say, Corinna, I can't find, what was that recipe from week 12? And I can say, go to the Academy, and it's all there. So it's just a great way to organize all your stuff for your CSA members, and they can kind of find it themselves. So every week of the season, and actually in the off season, I do it once a month, I create new content that ultimately goes into that. So I'll usually make it in the Facebook group first, and then it ends up going into the Academy. I'll download it onto my computer, edit it a little bit, and put it in the Academy. So after several years, this has turned into a major, major asset. Now here's the thing that I want you to think about. If you decide you want to do this, your first goal is like, I'm just going to do this, dabble in it to excite my customer, right? That's the whole reason I'm talking about it, because this discipline of creating content every week has really excited my customer and taught them and grown them. But if you use this idea of like funneling it, putting it into some kind of a database, like a platform like teachable.com, you can actually turn it into another product, a virtual product that you don't have to work and slave over to make money on. And that is what this is turning into for us. It's actually a product that I sell for $95 a year or $10 a month, kind of like a Netflix for foodies is sort of how I talk about it, or a Netflix for seasonal eaters. And so people who can't maybe join your CSA because they live somewhere else, they can join your Academy and learn about stuff and still pay you. So it's a way for you to make money on the side. So I know that might seem like a long way away, and that was always my goal when I first started it. I was like, this might be something I could monetize. But I wasn't able to do it for a couple of years. So it's definitely a slow and steady wins the race kind of strategy. But not only did I have the benefit of exciting my customer as I was making this content, I could ultimately, really excite them by putting it into this beautiful kind of framework that was easy and organized to find. And when I put a price tag on it, now my customers all know that this is something that people pay money for, but they get it for free. And so it's just elevated the whole CSA price point, if that makes sense. Like they feel like, wow, I'm really getting a lot for what I'm paying. So if you want to actually see what's in the Academy, you can go to sharedlegacyfarms.com/Academy list and just download it, and you'll see every single topic, every single PDF cheat sheet. You guys, everything I've ever made is in there. So I just want you to know that that's there. Okay, so make an Academy is my third tip. That has been so huge for us. So huge. And now that I'm actually making money with it, that's even better. That's passive income, so to speak. So number 4, thing you could do to excite people, events. So think about like a farm open house for new members. I like to do that on the front end. I find like that one is really well attended because the new people are so excited and they want to come and meet you and they want to see your farm. They want to see when it's really beautiful. So if you're not doing something like that, that's another great way to excite your customer and just let them know, hey, here's a free ticket for a picnic lunch at my farm. And this is part of the offer when you join our CSA. And then when they make it in, you kind of continue to follow up and say, hey, this is coming. Field to table dinners with famous chefs coming to your farm. I know we have kind of one of the elite chefs from our town, from Toledo, who does like monthly intimate dinners on our property for like 10 people, and that's it. And those sell out in like 20 minutes because it's a chance for those people to come and really interact, not only with a famous chef who's literally cooking right there 2 feet away and talking to them the whole time, but getting to see the farm and getting to talk to their farmers one-on-one in a long, like 3 or 4 hours. So another thing you can try are challenges. So I have a whole video training about how to do challenges, but we're in the middle of one right now. It's called the 14-Day Freezer Challenge. And challenges are a huge way to excite your customer or your fan base because they've just so we have a bunch of people, right, who have joined, who've never been in our CSA yet. And what do you do with them? How do you get them to start interacting? Well, they're in our private Facebook group, But when I have a challenge, it's like I can focus our attention on one topic. I can say, okay, for the next 14 days, we're all going to work together on trying to use one thing from our freezer in a meal and take a picture of it and share it. And so there's all this buzz and excitement right now in my community because they're having fun with that. And so that allows some of our current our older members and our brand new members to find common ground and start growing, start learning. And some of these rookies, they're seeing these ideas like green cubes are being thrown around a lot in our group right now, how they're using frozen green cubes from last season and all kinds of stuff to flavor their dishes. And I know that some of them are like, I can't wait to find out about green cubes. Like, look at all this stuff that these CSA members have learned and are now using. They did this last year, they stored it up, and now they're benefiting from it, and that could be me someday. Like, that's what's going through these people's minds. So challenges are a great way to kind of help future pace, like show them, vision cast, this is what you're gonna become, and to start already learning how to do stuff, even though it might even be in the off season. So we've done things like a lunchbox challenge, where you try to make healthy lunches for your kids and then teach your kids how to make their own healthy lunches. For like 2 or 3 weeks, we've done an Instant Pot challenge where we teach people how to use the Instant Pot and then challenge them to actually play with it, not be afraid of it. And I'm forgetting, there's another one, but I'm forgetting. So this just forces our community to try new things. It's a short period of time, and here's what happens. They grow. They grow as a foodie, as a seasonal eater. And remember, that's the excite piece. That's where they're like, wow, you are transforming me. You are not just giving me a box of vegetables. I actually wanted something else, and I didn't realize it. I actually wanted to really maximize and grow as a seasonal eater. And now you're actually stroking that need too. So this is a surprise and delight factor, and I want to stay loyal to you. All right. And then finally, this one was something my husband brought up. He's like, you know what? Even just telling the story of the farm, the behind the scenes stuff to your audience is another piece that can help them in the excite phase. Because a lot of your members, if they're CSA folk, they want to connect with a local farm. They want to know what's happening to their food. They want to see the story of food. They want to know their farmer and know their food, right? So when you show those pictures of, like how an irrigation wheel works, or when you show the process, maybe you have a cow that's, pregnant, and you're kind of giving status reports on when the calf's going to be born. People don't know that stuff. They're so distanced from their food. They don't know how these things work, and that's fascinating to them, and that grows their knowledge and makes them feel more connected to you. So really thinking about what are some of the interesting stories that would help people really feel like they are a part of this place, and then finding a ritual for telling them in your social media or through your emails or through video or blog posts for that matter. So your members need to stay excited. When you grow them, when you act as their guide, remember that's your role, to be the guide and guide them through this journey, they will move through this customer value grid, and they sure enough will head up over here and they'll start buying from you. All right, final thoughts. I have a few tips on as you work out this excite phase for your own farm. Number one, be innovative. My husband and I, we hold that as kind of one of our core values as a farm. We really feel like every year we need to find one new thing to just keep not only things interesting for us, but your customers can get bored with your brand and your product if you just do the same thing all the time. And I think one of the reasons that our customers continue to stay excited is because we get excited and we keep growing and we share it with them. And so there's always something new that we're adding. And there are some things that we kill, that we take away. Like, we don't do certain farm events anymore because they were just getting stale. So don't be afraid to kill the sacred cow and, start something new. I have some customers, for instance, that they're not aging out, but they've been with us for like 5, 6, 7 years. And, I need to figure out new ways to keep things fresh for them. So an example would be, I'm actually going to move to my second tip because this kind of is relevant. Like, you want to ask your customers, how can I help you? What do you want from me now? So that's one of the questions in my end of year survey every year, because I'm trying to feel like, okay, or figure out where have they grown, and now what is the next thing they want to learn? So for example, if I had tried to teach my customers a fermenting class 4 years ago, I would have had zero interest, zero. Like that was just so far beyond them. They would have had no idea what that even meant. They were struggling to store their kale properly. Like, they just, that was not where they were yet in the journey. But now I have people who are seasoned seasonal eaters, and they're actually interested now in doing things like, hey, I want to learn how to pressure can. Really? Okay. All right. We'll teach you how to pressure can. Or, hey, tell me more about this fermenting and kimchi. And I think I'm ready to give that a go. So I wouldn't know that unless I had surveyed my customers and found out that a lot of them want to know how to ferment things now. I'm like, that's awesome. So my customer has grown. And so we need to be mindful of that as they move through this journey. Like, we got to keep them excited, okay? We got to keep them excited. If things get stale and boring, they'll step away and they may say, I'm not really getting that transformation piece out of that farm anymore. Number 3, quick wins. This is my third tip. So identifying quick wins. So just brainstorm, what does a quick win look like for my customer? What kind of, I also call this fist pump content, where they're like, yeah, that was awesome. Okay, so is there something that you could teach them or give them that would blow them away, that would be like, oh my gosh, they went above and beyond to really equip me? So I don't know what that looks like for you, but when we go the extra mile and make a complicated video, or I get one of my members into my kitchen to actually teach something, people love that. They're like, oh wow, somebody's joined the faculty from our own CSA community. Something like that shows that I went the extra mile to get someone else in here. Those are what I would call fist pump content, where people are like, yeah, that's awesome. So identify what that is. Fist pump content, what that does is it kind of gives them an immediate transformation. Okay, quick wins are like they can learn it in 30 seconds, and the learning that happened was like big, right? It wasn't small. And so when they have that quick win early on, it reinforces the buying decision. It's like, yeah, this was a good decision. Holy cow, I already grew so much, it was totally worth the money I just paid already. So that's what you want them to be thinking. And then finally, think about this, the surprise and delight factor. So what can you do that would surprise and delight your customer? I'm thinking back to Dan R's Automotive, okay? They didn't have to do all 7 of those things. They could have probably just done one, but they went overboard. Now they're sending me like, hey, because you're such a valuable customer, I'm giving you a $60 credit for your next thing that you want to come in. I'm like, awesome, So they continue to do things that are showing me that I'm one of their premier members and they feel special about me, okay? I'm being surprised and delighted left and right. So what does that look like for your customers? Can you give them a free gift card on their first, they come and pick up? I know Weber Ranch does this. When we had a Thanksgiving share pickup, they gave their customers, when they picked up their turkey, like, here's a gift card to Fallon Fodder Restaurant. And I heard people were like, oh, like they were surprised. And that was a really nice gesture. And that was a partnership that they had, a JV partnership they had with Fallon Fodder, but that was brilliant. What are things like that you can do that are going to impress your customer and make them feel like they're being taken care of, that excellent service? Okay, so the rewards. What happens when someone becomes excited by your brand? They move up the ascension ladder, they start buying more things, and ultimately they'll move over to the promotions area, where they become a promoter and an advocate for your brand. But more importantly, they stay loyal. They stay loyal. Not only do they keep buying stuff, but they become really loyal. I think again about Dan R's. I pay more. I know I pay more for them. But because of all that awesome service and these perks, I'm like, dang, yeah, I'm willing to pay more because they take good care of me. And I talk about them all the time. I just told hundreds of farmers about Dan R's Automotive. Go check them out, all right? So if you don't pay attention to this stage in the customer value journey, I feel like you do so at your peril. I feel like you leave money on the table, and it causes people to stop in the journey and they can't go any farther. They can't go up the ascension ladder. They don't turn into advocates and promoters. So it's tempting to not spend a lot of time thinking about this and be like, oh, well, because you don't see a lot of immediate return. You're like, I've already got the customer. Why do I need to invest in them even more? Here's the thing. If you invest in this area, if you take some of that energy that you're focusing on trying to find new customers all the time, and you just start taking really, really good care of the ones you have, you are going to see those customers turning into promoters. They're going to do the marketing for you. And all that work that you're doing trying to find new people is going to go away because your retention rate is going to go up. And you're going to have happier, loyal customers that don't leave the pipeline. I promise. It's what happens. So does it take time? It does, but the trade-off is totally worth it. The trade-off is totally worth it. So what kind of content or experience could you create to help your customer get excited? And if you are doing something already that you feel like falls into this category, I would like you to just put that in the comments of this video, please, because I want all of our community to share ideas. This is what we're all about, giving ideas to one another. I'm not the only one that has ideas. I'm not in every industry. So please share things that you're doing so we can learn from each other. Don't neglect the Excite phase. Your customers need it. They're waiting for it, and they can't move farther until they have it. Listen, before I let you go, I do want to just give a special offer to all of you. If you are interested in joining my academy, if you want to get inside and see what that online membership database looks like, I want to invite you in. You can go to sharedlegacyfarms.com/academy. Some of you, actually, I've been getting a fair amount of you who will text me or say, hey, can you share with me that PDF document of the 6 steps to using your box? I would love to use it with my CSA. Or, hey, what does the sample, pesto, formula for a perfect pesto sheet look like? Or what's that ebook that you have with all your Instant Pot recipes in it? Or what's that thing that you used as a bonus, the beginner's guide to CSA? What's that vegetable A to Z storage guide? Can I have that? Can I look? You guys, it's all in the academy. And so, although I can't say, hey, you can go and copy it and just word for word use it for your CSA, I don't want you to do that. But if you got into the academy, if you purchased the academy, you literally can see every asset I have made for my customers is in there. All the lead magnets that are spinning around that you guys are trying to see and copy and try to use for yourself, they're all in there. And you can just get ideas for what you could do for your farm. So I feel like this is a great investment, even if you just join for a month or two, enough to kind of see the lay of the land and then, discontinue. So there's an annual membership. There's also a monthly membership. If you'd like to go, just go to sharedlegacyfarms.com/academy. It's a way for you to get a ton of ideas for the kind of content that you can do that will excite your customer. You're going to see examples of what a PDF cheat sheet would look like, and you can go into Canva and make one that looks almost just like it. You guys, it's a great way to just get inspiration. The other bonus is that if you join the academy, you get into my private Facebook group for my CSA members. So if you're thinking about joining or you want to make a private Facebook group and you want to see a really good one in action, you can get in and you can just be, skulking behind the scenes and see how people are talking. And here's another cool thing. If you are trying to start a CSA and you don't really know how your ideal customer avatar talks or what they think or what they do, a great way to figure that out and to do customer research is to get inside a CSA group, because you hear how they talk. You hear the kinds of questions they're asking. Every now and then there's a post that I put up that's like, what do you love about CSA? There's like 20 responses, and you can see the copy. You can put it on your website. You can get a really good idea of the ideal customer. So I feel like just joining the academy for a couple of months, getting into my Facebook group will be a huge way for you to just see the machine in action and get ideas for how you can market better to your own members and excite them. So if you want to see what topics are in the academy, you can go to sharedlegacyfarms.com/academy list, and you'll see I think it's like 3 pages. It lists every PDF, every video, every resource guide that's in there. If you're kind of on the fence, like, I don't know if it's worth it, but otherwise just go to sharedlegacyfarms.com/academy. And I even have a guarantee if you get in there. I can't even believe I put a guarantee on there, but like if you get in there and you're like, no, this isn't what I want, I'll give you a refund. All right. You have 30 days. I'll give you the $10 back. Okay. So it's $10 a month right now, $85 for the whole year. I think it's a great deal. So I would love to see you in there. And if you do, I'll put you into my Facebook group within 48 hours as well. I want to mention one more thing. There was a farmer who made one of these academies. Her name is Mandy Girth. And she is from Lower Valley Farm. And she recently posted in our farmer group, about how she took this idea of an academy and she made one herself. And she did a beautiful job. You can go and look at the link. It's gorgeous. And she's so proud. And she's also charging a monthly membership for you. So other farmers here's another farmer that's doing what I'm doing and beginning to see, excitement for her customers. So it's definitely, I think, something to think about. If you're interested in making your own academy, I want to recommend teachable.com as one of the platforms. I'll link up a few other ones in the comments below as well later. There's few other platforms you might want to check out, but I use teachable.com and I love it. Thanks for joining me. If you liked this video, please give me some kind of emoji, comment and share what you thought. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, please hit the subscribe button so that you can get future notifications. Thanks so much for joining me. And Michelle Hudson just signed up for the Academy. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Michelle. I can't wait to see you in my group. I hope you love it as much as I love it. Have a great one. I'll see you next week.